'Twas the night before the weekend, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even an electric mouse. Before beginning, we wanted to prep for our hunt. To not do so would be quite the stunt. We finished Mark's decks to get the shiny charm, otherwise he'd end up tripling his odds and cause mental harm. Now with the completed decks, not even missing a tutor, Mark had finally earned Oak's seal of approval. Charm in hand, now we were fully prepared. We could enter the max lair, or so we dared. Some shiny legendaries, encounter we might, we decided to begin the next day, and bid each other good night. The next morning, we each found the mon we would hunt. In the meantime though, Mark found a shiny Tapu Koko. What a lucky cunt.
Okay, let's do this one last time.
My name is Bradley, and you might know me as Driftbell Dude. Despite being a lifelong fan of Pokemon, I didn't play a great deal of Sword and Shield. At the time, they left me somewhat disappointed, so I shelved them straight after completing my decks, really. Even during the pandemic, I wasn't playing the games a great deal, meaning that I never really engaged with the DLCs. Therefore, I didn't realise when it released in October of 2020, shortly after I started college, they added a new feature that would become an absolute favourite amongst shiny hunters. Leveraging the max raids these games had, turning them instead into adventures, where you would use rental Pokemon to take on a sequence of 4 consecutive raids, with the final of which being a legendary serving as a boss. The rules are simple. You lose after your team has had 4 Pokemon faint across the adventure, or if you fail to defeat a single boss within 10 turns. What does this have to do with shiny hunting, you might wonder? You're given the option to keep just one of your rental Pokemon you defeated across your adventure, with each of them actually having a whopping 1 in 300 chance of being shiny, nearly 13 times more likely than a random full odds encounter. And with the shiny charm, that goes all the way down to just 1 in 100. With 4 encounters per adventure, you would expect to see a shiny once every 25 adventures. What made these even more enticing, like I mentioned before, you could encounter a slew of legendary Pokemon, some of which were previously shiny locked, like my shiny slug Zygarde. You can start to see why this feature remains beloved all the way until the modern day, and why a creator like Blue Vector would promote events like Da Weekend, encouraging the community to go back and hunt together using this method. With that being said, it was time to let the games begin. After already having found that Tapu Koko in random raids, next in our sights was one of Mark's absolute favourite shinies ever, Groudon. And unfortunately, we found out the hard way, these raids were not easy. As much as I struggled, I began to really start enjoying trying to learn what the optimal strategy was for each boss. You could find so many different ways to tackle given its unique typing and movesets. I'm sure you're all familiar with Groudon, his ability Drought, so he sets Sun. This boosts the power of Fire-type moves, as well as mitigating his weakness to water. Water, Ice, and Grass are all strong against ground, but he has coverage to hit all of them. This made it extremely difficult. So, if you found a route that works, you're actually able to preserve it by resetting your games on the Pokemon Select screen. It does, however, come at a cost. It will start to charge you Dynite ore, but eventually it would be worth it. We eventually managed to find a route that worked perfectly for this Groudon, because the Politoed was able to instead overwrite the sun with Drizzle, turning the tides on the weather war.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
We forgot all about our past fails, breezing through these adventures. We were off to a quick start to DA weekend. Luckily for us though, we didn't have to do too many more, because just after 16 raids he found his Grail Groudon. And as much as I hate to admit it, I was happy for my friend, but kinda jealous. Now Mark was suitably pleasured with his Groudon, we could finally set our sights on my number 1 target, Zygarde. Remember when I said that Groudon was difficult? Zygarde was kind of the same, having powerful spread moves that could shred through raid parties, both having Landsrath and Thousand Arrows, both ground type moves, but Thousand Arrows actually has the additional bonus of managing to ground flying types, meaning these guys weren't safe. Not just that, but once you got Zygarde low, it would then activate its power construct ability, doubling its HP and increasing its stats even more, literally just going Super Saiyan. The only reason this raid seemed to be doable was its typing. Zygarde is a ground and dragon type, meaning it has a crippling quad weakness to ice. Ice creams had kind of become the new gold dust in these mines. Especially at the beginning, I probably only managed about a 30% win rate. Unfortunately, I only track the amount of successful raids and the amount of times I actually encounter Zygarde, so I have no clue how many of these things I did in total. But it's gonna be a lot. There are actually a couple ways to beat Zygarde, found to be pretty consistent. First off, I already mentioned, you can make it OD on snow cones. You could also just abuse moves like Screech and Metal Sound in combo with another super effective move. Or, due to both Thousand Arrows and Land Draft being spread moves, Wide Guard basically becomes a cheat code. Huh. Who knew I would be happy to see a Hitmonlee? This hunt was clearly driving me nuts. Once we settled into our groove, we were starting to actually rack up the encounters quite a lot, managing to finish DA weekend on a whopping 40 Zygarde checks. Considering they each take about 20 minutes, it was no mean feat. I may have failed to get shinies of my own, but despite the event being over, I wasn't going to abandon my hunt just because some arbitrary event had ended. And with ZA on the horizon, I was going to get this guy. Like I say, this hunt got off to a somewhat slow start. By the time the next weekend rolled around, Mark once again decided to lend me a hand, and on my 73rd Zygarde raid, I finally had to sit there and pout as my friend managed to get the shiny after just a third of the amount of encounters. You're telling me this guy, 1 encounter Tapu Koko, 16 encounters Groudon, 26 encounters Zygarde. This man needs to get a lottery ticket. That's one way he could get out of his mom's basement.
It's burning my eyes!
I was once again slightly gutted, but from here on out, I decided to go solo. I was no longer pulling my punches. I was optimizing this hunt to the nth degree. No waiting on server communication, move selection, or even battle animations. I was going hardcore, and over the next few weeks, I was gonna grind hard. Okay, that sounded kind of weird. And I think Mark must have bestowed some of his shiny luck on me, because after he got his Zygarde, my luck was about to change for good. Okay, so shiny check 82. No Lilligant, no Zygarde, no Pelipper. That's a shiny Wishcash though! I can't lie, I think I might just get rid of the sunburnt fish just to keep the root. Cheers Wishcash, thanks for popping by, but nope. Must have done like 300 DAs and that's my second shiny. I've just got rid of it. What have I done? Ultimately, I decided the route was more important than some shiny Wishcash. All I wanted at this point was the slug. Anything else, who cares? Somebody once told me this hunt was gonna roll me. I'm going insane in the head. I was looking kinda dumb with my switch out on the bus, with the slug choosing Mark instead. Well, the phases start coming and they don't stop coming. Can't lie, I deserved them after this time hunting. Didn't make sense not to take that one. Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to hunt, so much to see, so that requires taking the backseat. I'll never know what it's like in the snow. It will never shine, I already know. Hey now, you're a Zygarde, get your game on, go play. Hey now, it's a bit hard, gonna fail loads of raids. Now all of us are grey and old, and my grandkids will be told. I'm gonna be very honest. Today has been rough. I have been doing these Dynamax adventures on and off for the last 12 hours. I must have failed about 15 of these raids, and I finally found a route that kind of works, and so this is only my 4th successful one of the day. Yesterday I managed to crank out like 10 to 15, so this is going to be my 104th, I believe, so I'm just begging I get a shiny here to make it all worth it. No Trevenant, no Glalie, no Zygarde. Back to the grind, I guess. After that rough weekend of failing raid after raid, I had a week off from work, so I headed home to spend time with family, and definitely not spend the entire time looking for a white slug.
I can do this all day.
Finally, after about 10 phases, it was finally about time. Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. I can't believe it that after all this time hunting, not only do we get Zygarde, but to be honest, I had to pass up a shiny Grovyle, man! That thing's awesome! But at the end of the day, I got my target, and then, after weeks of hunting, I could finally exit my cave and see the shiny squishy in the sunlight. After getting the cube from Stone'side, I could turn it into the 10% form, probably my favourite, or unleash the complete 100% form in all its magnificent glory. And with ZA finally getting its release date set for October, we would only have to wait a mere matter of months to see if Squishy will be able to take on a brand new form in these games. And while we wait, it was on to the next hunt.